So, you're that Siege player that loves playing ranked, but despite grinding, it feels like you've been stuck in a rank for a really long time, or you just can't seem to get higher up. But you also don't want to watch videos on how to do a melee hole, spawn peek through 4 different walls with a pixel angle, standing on an object. Well, then I have the only video you will need, because in this video I will show you 15 really easy tips and tricks, or more so small adjustments you can do to your gameplay to play much better instantly. The tips I'll give you today will include some general tips, some movement tips, and I'll also show you some operator specific tips. But let's keep it simple and start with the general tips. My first tip is one that I now find myself doing all the time when I enter a building. On any door, melee, and this is seen from the bottom, panel 3 and panel 6. This opens up the barricade enough for you to crouch through it. This won't give as much of a sound cue to enemies. Listen to the difference of me hitting the barricade 2 times and me hitting the barricade 3 times. If you fully open the barricade, all the panels fall down and the sound is much louder. This is a really good way to surprise your enemies because due to the 2 hits, they think you haven't entered yet. With grenades being really strong in the current pro meta, I'll explain to you how you perfectly land all your nades against the ceiling, and it isn't even that difficult. I usually mark the ceiling around 7 meters away from me. Then I hold the nade and I look at the indicator. When the indicator starts blinking rapidly, you throw the nade away. Usually at the second fast indicator blink. This will always hit at the perfect spot 7 meters away from you, and it's great for creating utility or clearing anchors on site. The next few tips are used if you want to create a small opening where you can peek through. If you're outside a window and you want to look in, crouch at the window and shoot down the very bottom panel with 2 bullets. It's a bit smaller than the other ones, and just hold that. Due to the very small opening in the barricade, enemies won't be able to see you that well. You can catch rotating enemies off guard. If you're on the side of the window that has glass on your side, you can shoot 1 bullet in the glass to make it bullet hole and then shoot down a small piece of the barricade through that same bullet hole. This creates a really sneaky angle and it gives you really good visibility, but the enemy on the other side is barely able to see you. If you're ever being flashed by an enemy, make sure you look down at your compass to see where you are. This will help you to get some kind of orientation as to where you are and where you can get to safety. One small adjustment you can make to get better sound cues is to shoot down the glass on the windows. This will give you a better sound cue when enemies are rappelling on the other side of the window, because the sound is able to come through much better. Usually, to do this, I just shoot at the windows without being scoped in or without aiming. You can clearly hear when the glass breaks. And I tested this in a custom game and the difference is insane. This is the difference between when someone rappels next to a window that does have glass and a window that doesn't have glass. The next few tips are going to be movement based, but some really simple tips for quick adjustment of your skills. Now before we continue, you've gotten quite far in the video already, and if you're liking the content, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. We're on our way to get 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and your support is really appreciated. So one thing that I see a lot of players do that causes them to die really often is that they aren't aiming at head level. So often I see players walking around aiming at feetsies even when they're not expecting to take a gunfight in the next few seconds. But Siege can be a very scary game, and you never know if someone could be around the corner waiting for you. So you'll always have to be ready for a gunfight. Make sure you always have your crosshair around head height. This is going to give you a really good advantage in a gunfight, because you'll be aiming at the head already. You shouldn't forget, Siege is a game where you can kill the enemy with 1 headshot. Having your crosshair aimed at head level will instantly lead to getting more kills and a better chance of surviving a gunfight. You don't have to adjust your aim as much as you would have to when you're aiming at the floor. Did you know that with any open window, you can look down even further by standing close to the window and looking down as much as you can? You'll see people and things that are right underneath the window. You can spot enemies or maybe a diffuser and give the calls to your team. This is a really good example on Consulate because look at how many more steps of the staircase you can see if you look down the window. And now this is an easy trick, but it will save you in so many situations. It's a mindset kind of thing to implement this in your gameplay. Whenever you're about to drop a hatch or off the roof to the balcony, or if you want to jump into a window, shoot at least one bullet at the same time as you land. The sound of the bullet will mask the sound of your drop or vault, so enemies don't know that you've already dropped. This could also be done by your teammates. If you're about to drop a hatch, ask them to make a sound by tossing it ready or shooting, because this will also mask the sound of your drop. So often have I jumped down in courtyard on coastline by using a bullet to mask the drop sound and have an enemy walk into courtyard looking at the roof thinking that I was still on there. You must have already dropped. There's another way you can confuse enemies when it comes to dropping. If you want to make the enemy think you've dropped the hatch, you can fake this sound by jumping off an item that is nearby. For example, on this hatch in Boru, you can jump on the desk and then step off that desk. This makes a similar sound as to when you would drop a hatch. There's quite a few maps where you have a similar situation. For example, Consulate and Oregon, there's a really good example too. If you melee a barricade on the side of the panel, so on the right side or the very left side, the barricade will break, but the glass will stay up. This will make it a lot more difficult to see on the other side if someone's behind the glass or not. If you are unsure where your enemy is on the other side of the door, you can try to step closer to the doorway whilst knifing. The enemy might just see a part of your arm and the knife, and they might trigger a response to that by shooting at it. You'll then see where the bullets are coming from, and you can adapt to this. It's an easy way to get a little bit more information. And to finish this tips video, I'll give you some operator-specific tips. One fun thing to do with Ash is to use the breaching round on the very top right or very top left of the doorway. This way you can stand against the door whilst it detonates without taking any damage. You can then sprint in and catch enemies off guard. A tip to save out some utility with Jackal is to open the scanner overlay but without scanning. If you look at the path of the footsteps, you already get a general direction as to where the enemy went to. You can save out some scans by doing this. If you're playing Yana and you want to catch the enemy off guard, you can act as if you're getting on the replicator by pressing the button but letting go of the button halfway. This triggers the sound effect of the replicator, making the enemy think you're not actually pushing in yourself.
Mission failed.
One thing I often see that Thunderbird players don't know is that you can juggle around your coda stations if you need quick heals. As soon as you are healed by the coda station, you can pick it back up and place it down again to regenerate the heals a lot faster. This concludes my easy tips to immediately start playing better. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite tip was, and if you have any other good tips, put them in the comments as well for everyone else. Make sure you leave a like and sub to the channel if you like the content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.